Hello, welcome back to the Creator Spotlight from the Interface. This is episode number 2, and this time I have special guest Sami Fathi from MacRumors. He's been at MacRumors for a little while now, so I thought I'd get him on the show to talk about Apple and his appearances on TV and the viral tweets he's had. So, yeah, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. That's quite a big introduction. I hope I meet the standard.
Awesome. So, I just want to get the first thing we talk about is how long have you been at MacRumors and how did you get started into blogging?
I've been at I'll be at MacRumors for 2 years in February.
Nice.
So it's like 541 days so far, but who's counting? Yeah, it's been it's been awesome experience. Obviously, I used to follow MacRumors when I was younger, and to be able to now work with people who I used to read their work and admire them, it's quite an honor. So, yeah, 2 years almost.
Yeah, it's quite impressive. What did you do before?
Right before MacRumors, I ran my own outlet on Twitter. It was called Apple Terminal, and I ran that with a good friend of mine. I'm not sure if you remember
I think
it.
I've heard of it.
It did quite good. We ran it for around 2 years. For an outlet that just started, we were doing quite good for ourselves. I was finishing senior year of high school, and then MacRumors reached out to me in January of 2021.
Okay.
And said, "Would you like a job?" And rest is history.
No, that's awesome. So I noticed with working at sort of a place that size, like 9 to 5 Mac and MacRumors, you get quite a bit of attention as well. Is that ever a problem or?
It's definitely been a shift in terms of I'm much more careful with what I put out now. I mean, when I first started out, I had 250 followers, so I could put something out and no one would care. But I've had a few instances where I've put something out that I probably shouldn't have put out.
Yeah.
And then I check my phone when I wake up, and it's just I'm on the verge of getting canceled, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it has definitely been a learning curve in that sense, but obviously not complaining at all, of course.
Yeah. I don't know if we can talk about it, but I remember you tweeted out, I think it was last week or the week before, I think someone from 9 to 5 Mac, I think there was some weird issue with copyright, what do you call it, plagiarism maybe? I can't remember if it was you that said
it was
yeah.
It wasn't 9 to 5 Mac. It
Oh.
was another publication
Okay.
that just blatantly ripped off one of our not one of my articles, but one of Joe's articles. And 9 to 5 Mac, they would not do that.
No,
We're good friends.
9 to 5 Mac's pretty good. I've sort of put MacRumors and 9 to 5 Mac in the same sort of space. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have a bias, but
Yeah.
that's a given.
Yeah, that's awesome. I blog about Apple stuff when I started the interface. So I've been running the interface for 10 years now.
Wow.
Which is awesome. So I started in high school, but it's sort of Apple stuff as well as networking's, but it's sort of drifted away from Apple a little bit, more to do with the software releases that I cover now. But so yeah, it's an interesting time.
It's a fun. It's an interesting time, and it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely. Well, something we can talk about is the event, which is probably going to be in a few weeks. The iPhone 14 event, hopefully. So.
Yeah, are you looking forward to it, or?
Yeah, I've got an 11 Pro at the moment that I haven't bothered upgrading for the past few years. So.
Wow,
maybe
you're due for an upgrade.
Maybe if it looks good, I'll spring for that. But yeah, is there any predictions what sort of predictions have we got for the new iPhone?
Good question. I'm rocking a 12 Pro Max, and it feels kind of silly for me to say I want to upgrade after you say you have the 11 Pro. But I am eyeing an upgrade. I skipped out on the 13 just because promotion didn't seem like that big of a deal to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I skipped out on the 13. Definitely going to be upgrading to the 14 Pro Max. At least that's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be an exciting release. I think the lower end of the lineup. I'm really not sure how Apple's gonna market that
Hmm.
because they're keeping the same chip from the 13.
Is that what's rumored? Is
They're
it?
Yeah, so they're gonna keep the same chip, the same sort of internal uh, processing behind the phone. So I'm really sort of confused over what they're going to actually change because they
Mm.
just can't change nothing and slap a new number on it and say, here you go.
Hmm.
So, there has to be something that they do, probably going to be something camera related, um, something. So that's on the lower end of the lineup. I'm not expecting that much. But on the higher end with the 14 Pro and the 14 Pro Max, that's where I'm probably the most excited I've been for an iPhone release in a very long time. Just because I feel that iPhone upgrades have been very stagnant. The 12 was a decently big upgrade with the new flat edges.
Hmm.
13 was kind of minor. It feels like 14 is a time for Apple to really go all out and give us something pretty cool. And I'm confident they'll do that and suck all of our wallets dry at the same time.
Yeah, everyone goes bananas whenever anything new comes out. I remember the MacBook Pro last year.
Mm.
Everyone on my Twitter feed was buying it, even though it's outrageously expensive.
Yeah, that's the thing with Apple. I mean, people always complain about their prices being so high, but then the actual purchasing habits of customers are in no way reflective of those high prices. People will
Yeah,
pay, you know, put an Apple logo on anything, and people will probably buy it. So
yeah.
yeah,
Also, the ship. Well, if all goes to plan, I noticed there's some delays with iPad OS 16. I've seen reported, but hopefully the iOS 16 updates should be released at the same sort of time as the new iPhones as well. It's quite a
well, they'll
yeah,
have. Yeah, I mean, they'll have to be released at the same time because you
yeah,
can't release a phone that has software that no one else has, right? So,
yeah.
yeah, iOS 16 will come out in September. If the rumors are true, we're thinking September 16th, I think, for the iPhone 14
Okay,
becoming available. So, the iOS 16 should be available a few days before then.
yeah.
So around the second week of September.
It's usually a
Yeah,
week after
iPadOS
the event.
16. Yep, iPadOS 16 though, yeah, October, which I'm actually very happy about. I was relieved to see that they were delaying it because it's a hot mess
Is it? I've not messed around with the betas this time, but I've seen
on
some.
any of the betas
No,
or
no,
just the iPad one.
no. I've not messed
None
around
of
with any
them.
of them. No.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, you're missing out on the phone. You're missing out on the lock screen. I can
I've
tell you
seen that.
that much.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not sure you're not missing out on anything else, but the lock screen for sure is very
it looks quite
nice.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice update. Yeah, but iPadOS 16 is. I'm not sure how. I mean, even for a beta, I mean, people always say, yeah, it's a beta, but you shouldn't criticize a beta. But at the same time, we're on the sixth beta at this
Okay.
point of iPadOS and iOS, and iOS is fine, but iPadOS, I'm not sure how we're this far into the testing, and it's still such a mess.
Hmm.
Like it's concerning
Do things crash,
to put
or
it.
is it the stage manager?
It's Stage Manager mainly. Stage Manager is. I just wrote an article this morning about it, but
Okay.
yeah, Stage Manager is. It's a good idea. I can see the direction Apple's going in, but the way they've implemented it is just it's not right. They're trying to, they're still trying too hard to separate the Mac from the iPad,
Hmm.
and I feel like Stage Manager, they had this idea, but they just didn't execute it correctly. So I'm hopeful they'll make some big changes before it actually launches. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, we've also got the. I think stage managers coming to the Mac as well. Uh, that's usually in
Yep.
October as well. So again, I've not had a chance to play with that, but it looks quite promising. So
You'll enjoy it.
yeah,
You'll have a nice surprise. I wish I didn't have to actually run the betas. Like part of me says, I don't want to run the beta so that way, in the fall when I get my new phone, I'm
it's all shiny.
experiencing. It's all shiny and new, right? I'm experiencing the hardware for the first time. I'm experiencing the new software for the first time. But with my line of work, it's just you have to be testing everything. So I'm on a beta for every single thing I own. So I'm living on the edge.
Yeah. One thing I find really helpful about MacRumors is that I guess most of you guys have betas on your phones anyway. So right after June, for the next few months, there's always new articles published with goes in depth into each new feature. I find that really helpful. So it's
Yeah,
it's
it's
brilliant.
a lot to keep up with, but we
Yeah.
try our best.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, um, I noticed a few months ago on YouTube you published your first video as well. It's sort
Yeah,
of
I
a bit
did.
different from Apple stuff. It was about a Google Pixel, so I had
Yeah.
the chance to watch that a little while ago, so it was really good.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Thank you.
is that
Thank you.
something you're
Yeah.
getting into, doing videos about new products, or
Um, it was something I just wanted to try and experiment with and kind of see what people thought. Incredible feedback.
yeah,
Very 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 happy with that. Very grateful for all the nice comments and everything. We'll
of
see.
course,
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll
yeah,
give it another shot. It's just a matter of finding the time, right? I mean,
yeah, it's
when you're it takes a lot of time. I didn't realize how much time it takes.
mm,
To first come up with an idea and sort of kind of script it out, even if it's just a mental script to come up with the storyboard and what you want to shoot and then to actually record it and then to edit it and then and I didn't even do the editing for that video myself.
oh right,
So yeah, I didn't even do the editing and I was already tired by the end of it. So I can't even imagine what it'd be like if I did it all myself, but we'll see. Maybe.
yeah, yeah. There's I don't do the interface full time. I do another job where I make some like tutorial videos and just editing those videos, even if they're like 5 or 6 minutes long, just making sure there's nothing on the screen that you don't want to show, or you got to watch yourself on screen for multiple times. It's just it's weird.
And yeah, it's weird watching yourself too, and then it's annoying because like after you export, I was talking to my editor, and like we'd make one change, and then we'd render it, and then export it, and then we
Yeah,
notice like one color grade thing is off, or there's one weird glitch somewhere in the timeline, and then you have to go
yeah,
back and yeah, so but yeah, we'll see.
yeah. When I edited the first episode of this show, it was 2 months ago now. That was about 40 minutes, and that took a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours to edit, and that was just, and there wasn't even much on the screen. There was just two cameras feeds, and just working out how. I'm quite new to Final Cut Pro, so just working out how that
Mhm.
works was just quite overwhelming. But it's an art
There's a
form,
lot
really.
of there's a lot of good courses online for Final Cut. Um, some pretty in-depth, detailed courses that just outline basics and then go into more advanced Final Cut stuff. I
Yeah,
watch a few of those videos; they're quite helpful. So maybe they help
yeah, yeah. Final Cut Pro is quite impressive. It's just
for
yeah,
sure.
especially on the newer Macs as well. Just there's no real slowdown, so it's
What
great.
Mac do you have?
I have a M1 iMac, so I bought that last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I use
Very nice.
that. That's the camera for this episode, and also I do all the editing on it. So
What's the what color did you get?
I go in for blue. I was a
Okay,
bit
good.
torn,
You,
so
you, you were gonna scare me there. I thought you were gonna say like yellow or green or something like that. You go with blue. Okay, that's a good
I was
option.
I was tempted with yellow. I bought it not seeing anything in person first.
Oh wow, you bought it
So
online just based off
yeah,
the images.
yeah,
Wow, that's a
it's
risky
brave.
move. If you're happy with it though, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Wait, what do you use day to day for your? I know you said you're using an iPad for this recording, but
Hmm. Yeah, for my day to day, I actually have a 2015 iMac that I use.
okay.
It came with a hard drive and like 4 gigs of RAM, but then
Damn.
last year I put like 32 gigs of RAM in it and a pretty fast SSD. It's funny because in some cases I actually find it faster than my 16-inch MacBook Pro. So I don't know if it's the added RAM because my 16-inch M1 Pro has like 16 gigs of RAM, so my iMac doubles it. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's not going to get macOS Ventura, so that's
Ventera.
unfortunate. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
yeah, I love it.
yeah. I've got an old 2015 MacBook Air, the 11-inch one. Unfortunately, the last OS update was Monterey. So
Monterey.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, but it's amazing that they last these long. I mean, you would be very hard pressed to find, a Windows computer from any maker,
Oh, definitely.
Microsoft
Yeah.
themselves or Acer, any of the manufacturers that last, you know, 8, 7, 8 years and still get software updates and still run
Yeah.
and can run apps. I mean, you just, you won't find that. So
No.
the fact that
That
it's
does sound
lasted
annoying.
this long is
Yeah.
is insane.
Yeah. I don't use it much. I use it for basically when I'm away or blogging on the go. So it doesn't get much stress, but it's nice to have. So
For sure, for sure.
yeah. Um, the other thing I've seen on your Twitter feed as well, you've been on some TV, which is
I
quite
have
impressive. Yeah, I don't know if
not
you
a
want to talk
lot.
about that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I think it was Australian TV, wasn't it? Or
yeah, it
yeah,
was yeah, it was on Australian outlet. Yeah, for sure. I
yeah,
yeah, I love doing things like this. That's why when you reached out to me, I was like, hell yeah, I definitely do. I
yeah.
love doing these type of things, and those TV opportunities, they were fun. I'd love to do more of them. It's just a matter of waiting for someone to reach out. So if any producers are watching this, feel free to
Just
send me a message.
so someone from the show actually reached out to you. That's
Hmm?
someone from the TV show actually reached out to you.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
someone on Twitter, one of the producers, just reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you like to come on?" I said, "Sure." The
it's quite impressive.
rest is history. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see. Maybe
I'm
with
used
the
to. Sorry.
I was about to say maybe with the iPhone event, maybe there'll be more appearances, but we shall see.
Yes, quite nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm used to seeing. I think Joanna Stern and John. Oh, that's embarrassing. I've forgotten his name.
Gruber.
Yeah, John Gruber. They've been on
Yeah,
TV. I know with the MacBook stuff a few years ago, so it's quite
yeah,
nice.
they're the go-to voices for Apple, or
Yeah,
I should say for
definitely.
Apple, but anything related
Yeah,
to Apple. So yeah,
yeah,
they're cool.
yeah. I think you. It was quite again going back to Twitter as well. I think you had like a some sort of interaction with Joanna on Twitter. Like I think she retweeted your tweet like 3 or 4 times.
She did, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then she followed me. And I was like, oh
Oh
god,
wow.
yeah. It was
In the
Joanna is
big
someone
leagues.
I've admired for a very long time. Her work is admirable, and big fan of hers. I saw her retweet one tweet like, "Oh my god, this is cool." Then she put out another, and like she put like 3 or 4, and then she started replying to my tweets, and then she followed me. I was like, "Oh god, it's the
Wow.
pressure. No pressure here." Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. She's not much. Well, there isn't really much coverage of the Wall Street Journal here, but yeah, so I think she's got a very wide audience. I've noticed. I quite
Hmm.
enjoy when she's on John Gruber's podcast. Those episodes are always good fun to listen to, like 3 or 4 hours usually. But if you're taking a long
Yeah.
journey in the car, it's something to listen to. But
Or you can
always
listen to
always
the
enjoyable.
MacRumors. You can listen to the MacRumors podcast. So shameless plug right
Of
there.
course. Yeah.
You have
Yeah, it's a
to.
good podcast, that one. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, is that is that sort of the that that tweet you had from Joanna? Is that sort of the first time you've gone viral on Twitter, or has that happened before? Or?
No, I've gotten, well, I mean, viral, I think, is subjective, right?
Yeah.
I guess it depends what you consider viral, but I've definitely had tweets I've had, like, yeah, multiple tweets blow up unexpectedly, too. I mean, people often ask me, like, like, what do you do on Twitter? I'm just like, well, I mean, it literally is as simple as I think of something and I just put it out. A lot of people I feel try and sort of fake themselves online,
Mm.
put out things that they think other people are going to agree with or think is going to do well. Um, I just, if something comes to mind, I'll usually draft it and then randomly post it. So I'd wake up and I'd see a tweet that's like blown up. I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that. Yeah, that one tweet that Joanna retweeted was definitely one of the top ones. Yeah,
Yeah. The I know that was about the battery percentage, wasn't it, on the
yeah,
iOS 16? Is it beta
mm,
6?
yep,
Yeah. It's quite an interesting addition. It looks a bit weird. Like it doesn't look quite right, but
yeah, yeah.
it's a
It
good
looks
addition
weird.
though.
It looks weird because the battery icon stays full no matter what. The number changes, right? But the actual battery itself looks like it's always full, even if it's not.
Yeah.
It starts to the actual battery icon changes once it goes below 20%, and that's when it actually reflects your actual percentage. But other than that, it's always full. So yeah, it's a weird implementation. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to complain because it took them 5 years to give it to us. So thank you, thank you, the masters at Apple. Um, but yeah, it was. I remember getting the beta on my phone and looking at
Mm-hmm.
it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Wait a second, this doesn't look right." I was like, this looks weird." And then
Yeah.
yes, it was a nice addition, yeah, for sure.
I quite enjoyed not having it visible because I remember ages ago when I had a pre iPhone 10.
Mm,
You look at the battery percentage all the time, and you're sort of in your brain. It's sort of,
yeah,
oh, it's going down, it's going down. So I've quite enjoyed not having it there. But
yeah. I had it enabled on my phone on the beta for like 3 hours,
mm-hmm.
and then I turned it off. And
Yeah.
I have not turned it back on since. I mean, some people like it. I mean, I agree with you. Battery anxiety is a real thing. If you're constantly, if that percentage is constantly there, you're just going to be staring at it, and it will just subconsciously feel like it's draining faster, even if it's not.
Yeah.
Which I think is part of the reason Apple took so long, is that they didn't want people to, be consciously anxious about their battery life. I'm not sure what
Mm-hmm.
changed. I feel like it definitely does have something to do with the always-on display that we're getting with the 14 Pro and the 14 Pro Max. I'm pretty confident to say this is put there for that always-on display.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not sure why it took them this long. But hey, thank you, Craig.
There's a lot of stuff recently that should have been added a long time ago, like the weather app on the iPad, and I think there was another. Was it I think there's two apps added to the iPad this year. Was it the weather app and then there was something else? Can't remember.
Uh, no, we were supposed to get a
Maybe that's the one.
calculator app. We still didn't have a
Yeah,
calculator app on the iPad. We got weather, but not calculator. So I guess iPad OS 17.
that's taken 12 years to be added, but
Yeah, and it's funny because Craig was asked about this last year and said, "Why is there no
he was.
weather app on the iPad?" And he said something along the lines of, "If we're going to make a weather app for the iPad, we want to make sure it's a really good weather app for the iPad. Like we want to make sure we take advantage of the full display of the iPad and
Yeah,
everything." And then you literally open the iPad app. All it is the iPhone app stretched out.
it's
I
just
mean,
bigger. Yeah,
it's just bigger. I'm like, what were you, what were you trying to say here? It's maybe they try to do something more, um, uh, more ambitious, but
with the
they just,
maps and maybe. Yeah,
or they couldn't. I don't know. But we finally got it, so
yeah.
yay.
I think it's something to do. I don't know, from an outside's perspective of Apple a little bit. There seems to be like a new breed of people coming in a little bit. Like I think I remember seeing a tweet ages ago. I think it may have been 2 or 3 years ago. There was a girl who worked on the Apple Music team, and she was part of the team that added the share sheet for Instagram, that you could share
Mm.
music to your Instagram story. That was quite sort of them experimenting a little bit. And then the lady who manages the Apple Weather team is Novell Swift as well.
Yep.
I think she's quite active on Twitter. So there seems to be quite a, I don't know, like a maybe just like subconscious thing, but it seems like they got a new breed of people in a little bit.
A,
Doesn't make any sense.
a cultural
Yeah,
shift sort of thing. Yeah,
yeah,
I definitely see where you're coming from with that. Yeah, Apple has been
yeah,
much more receptive to feedback in recent years,
yeah,
and I think a big part of that is they realize, because for so many years Apple was really the only company that cherished an ecosystem. Right, they were the only people
yeah,
that actually had a proper ecosystem of devices, from your phone to your watch to your AirPods to your home. But now
yeah,
there's actually much tougher competition from Google, from Microsoft, even from Samsung, Amazon, even though they don't have phones, but they're their home ecosystem. So I think they just realize
yeah,
there's tougher competition now, and if they're going to stay ahead, they need to stop being so stubborn and actually give people what they want. So whether that's
yeah.
something as simple as an Apple Music Instagram share sheet, or an actual MacBook Pro with ports and no touch bar, or I don't know, whatever else. They just
Anything.
realize they need to change.
I remember watching that event live, the MacBook Pro one last year, and just shocked. Just it was
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. I know it's like a very simple thing, but it's like, oh my god, they've actually listened to people with that. It was quite surprising.
Yeah, they literally just went through and like checked off everyone's wish list. They more
Yeah,
ports, better performance, killer display. I mean, it was literally just them knocking off every single thing that people were hoping for, and I want to see more of that from Apple because they're
yeah.
capable of it. It's not like they don't have the ingenuity or
They're not.
the
Yeah,
capabilities to do it. They're a $3 trillion company. I mean, come on.
they're not really constrained by anything.
Yeah,
There's no budget constraints. There's no.
literally the sky is the limit with them. So hopefully we see more of that.
Yeah, the one thing I really want to see is the return of the big HomePod. I know I've seen. I think I've seen MacRumors reporting it about 2 or 3 times the last few months. That Mark Gurman's said something about the HomePod. I mean, I've got 2 or 3 of the big ones.
Oh, nice.
When you're watching a movie or something, and you can feel the bass. It's something that, and compared to the mini one,
So you're
one,
still
it's not.
they still work?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah.
I have 2 of the large HomePod minis too, and unfortunately they are dead.
Oh,
I cannot. They boot up, but they get extraordinarily hot to the point of
oh,
which I
it's a
feel
shame.
I could fry an egg on them. They don't set up.
Jeez.
Siri just lags and just gives up. So yeah, it's unfortunate because
Yeah,
the 2 months I had them where they were working, they were really good. One of the
yeah.
best sounding speakers you will find. So yeah,
Yeah. Uh,
we are getting the original HomePod back, which I'm not sure if they're going to call it HomePod.
hopefully.
I think they're going to probably call it HomePod Max. So they have HomePod Mini and then HomePod Max because they can't use
Oh,
the same
yeah.
name as a product they discontinued, right? They can't reuse
No,
that
not
name.
really.
So HomePod Max, HomePod Pro Max. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. It's I think I've seen some people have them go pop as well. They make some weird popping noises. It's something to do with the capacitors inside the HomePod. Somebody's found out why it does it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got lucky with this one. I moved into somewhere last year and managed to get someone was selling one on Facebook Marketplace locally. So they didn't want it anymore. So, but thankfully, touch wood, it's still working. So
Is it the what colors did you get?
I got a white one that I got a while ago, and I got a black one for the television. So
Nice. And do you use
yeah, it's hooked
those
up to the TV.
separately or use them as a pair?
They're both separate.
Separate.
So
You should try pairing them together.
yeah, I
When
need to try that.
when you're watching TV, try pairing them together. And if you think one HomePod is, I mean, when you hear 2 of them synchronize the bass
Yeah,
and the left and right, I mean, it's you'll feel like you're at a cinema, like it's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a really good experience. Like having the Apple TV with the what's it called, the ARC connection, so you can have
Hmm.
the HomePod be the speaker for your
Hmm.
Xbox and other devices. So it's quite good.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure, definitely.
yeah. Hopefully, I'd like to see a HomePod with like a not that HomePod, like a really small one, like with a screen maybe.
Yeah,
That'd be quite nice.
I would love a HomePod with a screen. But they are working on a HomePod that has an iPad connected through a robotic arm that will follow you around a room.
Okay,
Sounds very sci-fi, weird.
sounds weird. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's the Amazon has something remarkably similar to
yeah, they
it.
do.
It's like
Yeah.
I don't think it follows you though. I think what Apple's trying to do here is like you kind of place it in the kitchen, and as you're cooking, it
Hmm.
will it'll probably use like center stage or some technology behind center
Yeah,
stage to detect it and move you around. But yeah, a
yeah,
HomePod with a screen would be really nice.
yeah, definitely. But even one like by your bedside table, like with a clock or something.
Yeah, I have an
That'd be quite
Amazon
cool. Just to
Amazon Echo, I think it's called. I forgot what it's
okay.
called. Yeah, it's just a small like 5-inch
Yeah,
screen or something that just shows the time, something like that, with Siri built in, with like all of my Apple stuff built into it would be really nice.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've lost track of all the Amazon stuff. There's so many. I think they have like some sort of Amazon event every year, and they've announced like 40 different devices. I've lost track
I
completely.
think they have one every week at this point. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah, at some point there was a microwave that they had Alexa built into or something. I remember that. Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me, honestly. It seems seems believable. Microwaves, fridges, everything. Why not? We didn't talk about the Apple Watch. Do you
Okay.
rock
So yeah, I've gone.
do you rock an Apple Watch?
Yeah, I've got a Series 5 with a yellow band.
Ooh. Are you
So it's my second Apple Watch. I got the Series 2 when it came out, but
are you eyeing
so yeah.
are you eyeing an upgrade?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I bought the metal one. It was quite expensive when I bought it,
Mm,
so I'm a bit reluctant to sort of put something in a drawer that costs this much. But
yeah.
I use it. I use it for tracking steps and mostly notifications because I leave my phone
Mm.
anywhere in the house and I lose it. So just knowing what's going on my watch is quite useful. But
So the series. So you have you like any like do you like ever take like an ECG on your watch or
yeah, yeah, I've done that before.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm not sure if yeah, because the Series 8 is well, I mean, even if you upgrade, you're going to get a larger display compared to the Series 5. Because the
yeah.
Series 7 has like a
And the blood oxygen thing as
and the
well.
blood oxygen thing, and with the Series 8, a body temperature too. Be able to tell you your body
Yep.
well, it won't be able to tell you your actual body temperature like a normal thermometer. It will
Oh,
it
okay.
will tell you if it thinks you have a fever.
All
So
right.
it won't actually tell you like your body temperature is like 35 degrees or whatever. It will just tell you you may have a fever, seek medical attention. So kind of what it does with the ECG, tells you if you have AFib or if you
Yeah.
don't have AFib. It's kind of be similar to that. So you'll get blood oxygen and a body temperature. So which is crazy if you think about the amount of sensors that they're building into this small little
I
device
know.
just on your watch.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's insane. And you think about where it's going to be 10,
Yeah.
10 years down the line from here. I mean, it's yeah, it's insane, and it's actually life saving. It's not just like a feature that
Yeah.
it's just like a gimmick. No, these are there are hundreds of stories of people saying that their Apple Watch notified them
I know.
to whatever a high heart rate or they fell or whatever, and if it wasn't for the watch, they probably would not have made it. So it's not just gimmicks; these are actual real substantial changes that people make. So or that the watch has. Yeah. So
Yeah, definitely. I've seen stories about people in car crashes where the car's on the side and their phone's fallen on the passenger window, and they just use their watch to call the emergency services. It's just
yeah, it's
there must be and that's just the ones we hear about. There must be more that people don't tell anyone
oh
about.
yeah,
So
for sure, and
yeah,
I wonder the amount of emails Apple gets probably from people and all that. So yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, they did. It was that reminds me actually. They did there was an event like last year, year before, where they started the whole event off. Well, it was the Apple Watch segment where they
Mhm.
had a video compilation of all the stories they had, which is
Yeah, that
quite
was
nice.
October 2020, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I've lost track of time.
yeah. You could quiz me, like ask me like when Apple said this in a keynote, and I tell you because I have to watch these keynotes. Like, I do miss, as much as I love working at MacRumors, I do miss not working at MacRumors because event days come. I used to just sit in front of my TV, right, and just have some popcorn and watch the event. Now, event days are
Yeah,
like, our sort of Super Bowl moment. So, but yeah,
yeah. I live. I've started. Well, I started maybe about 4 years ago. Live tweeting the Apple
mm,
events, and your brain goes into a weird mode. You're not absorbing anything that's
you're
happening.
just
So
yeah,
anytime I do that, I have to go and watch it again.
yeah. And the first time the event goes through, you don't digest anything. Like you just you pick out these
No.
keywords and you type and you tweet and publish whatever, and that's it.
Yep.
And then like 30 minutes after the event finishes, you have to rewatch and like, oh, I missed that or I missed this or cool transition or whatever. So yeah, first time through is always rough. Are you enjoying these?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, are you enjoying these digital events, or would you rather Apple move back to the
Yeah.
in-person
It's
ones?
it's different, isn't
Mm,
it? I think the first one was June
yeah,
2020. I think it was. Yeah. It's definitely got a higher production value, and other companies have tried to mimic it. I know Huawei or one of those have got a very similar set, and it's not quite there's something off with
yeah,
it. But no, whoever's it's impressive. The team behind that video production is just it's like a movie.
yeah.
It's all the drone shots, the transitions, and and yeah, they've gone to work with that. It's a high production value with that. It's quite nice. I kind of there's a sense of realism with the theatre ones. There's like somebody like Craig will make a little mistake and you think, okay, they're still
Yeah.
human.
Yeah, that's the we don't get
Um,
any of the funny bloopers or the part I miss most
no,
is the audience reaction. I miss
yeah,
hearing the claps and the cheers and like I was thinking the other day, like what if they announced the MacBook Pros with an in-person audience and like what when that
yeah,
scene came up with like the HDMI port, the crowd would have just blown up in just excitement, right? So
yeah,
I missed that aspect of it because it
yeah.
was easier to gauge excitement based off of how loud the cheers were. But with these digital
Hmm.
events, you just kind of have to go off of what you see on Twitter and online, so it's a little bit harder to kind of gauge. But yeah, the production, these digital events have been um, exceptionally well produced, like literally like a movie. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
really
really good.
second to none.
Yeah, the in person event in the past that really stuck with me, and it still gives me goosebumps every time I watch it. Is the Apple Watch,
Uh,
one? Like when they have that
mm,
reveal and everyone's cheering, and you can hear it over the
yeah,
video. It's just I've watched that a few times recently. It's just you feel
goosebumps.
your hair
Yeah,
stand on
yeah.
end. It's just
It's the
yeah.
that was the first the one more thing Apple Watch, and there was another one. The iOS 7 reveal. If you go back and you watched iOS 7 reveal, you could, as they were showing off the new iOS design, you could hear the crowd cheering over the video because
Oh
the
wow.
reaction was so strong to that redesign, and the same with the Apple Watch. Yeah, so I do miss those for sure.
Yeah, I get with iOS 7. Maybe there's a little bit. I didn't think it was that positive. I thought I really liked it personally, but I thought there was like a general like conception that wasn't quite right. I don't know. Maybe that's just like the Twitter sphere. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Twitter
I really
the
liked it.
Twitter sphere has a way of over exaggerating things, um,
Yeah.
blowing things out of proportion. So it's kind of hard to actually tell whether
Mm.
people like something.
I used whenever any iOS updates came out in like September, I would just used to go on Twitter and have a look what's happening. But now I just stick off it because it's just there's always somebody complaining. So
That's Twitter. Yeah,
it
that's what
is. Yeah.
happens.
But yeah, no, I'm enjoying the new events. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
from
good.
my perspective, they're much harder to cover at MacRumors. They're much harder to cover at MacRumors, especially this year's WWDC was very difficult for us to cover as a team because there was an in-person crowd at Apple Park watching a live stream of the keynote uh, at
Oh
Apple
yeah,
Park.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. The problem we realized though was that the stream they were watching was several minutes ahead of ours. So whatever Apple was
Mm.
streaming on YouTube or on their website, it was delayed, 2 to 3 minutes delayed. So we would see tweets about
Hmm.
things they announced before we actually saw it, and that created. Um, so yeah, very niche problem. But for us Apple bloggers and reporters, it was a pain. Yeah, these digital events are a pain because they're so much more fast paced. It's literally a thing after another thing after another thing. They finished iPhone, bam,
Yeah,
transition, watch, bam, AirPods, bam, Mac. It's just it's
yeah,
rapid fire. Um, and I've said this before, but if anyone on the Apple production team is watching this, please slow down. Like slow down a bit. Like give us let us breathe for a second, because it's you guys are just going too fast. Like even if you need to put in a break, say we're giving this 5 minute break to all of the Apple websites trying to keep up. But yeah, it's very fast paced events.
yeah. I'd love someone to just from that production team just sort of give like a breakdown of how it all works because I'm fascinated by like movies behind the scenes. I'd love to. I doubt they'll never do it, but just someone to cover what the whole production process, how many times advanced they have to do it, the bloopers and all those bits and pieces. It'd be
Yeah, the
amazing to see.
bloopers to me are what I want to see most. Like I want to see bloopers of like Craig running or Craig
Yeah,
anything Craig related. I'm for it. Um, yeah, so the bloopers
yeah, he's funny.
and another thing that really fascinates me is that all those drone shots. Apple Park is always empty. I mean, if you notice in the drone shot, there's never anyone walking around
Hmm.
Apple Park. There's never any like cars in the vicinity of Apple Park. There's never any. activities. I'm always like, are these like do they animate out these people, or I mean, do they tell the staff? I mean, like,
Yeah,
we are recording something. Don't come to the office today. So things like this, I would love to know.
I think people would like that anyway.
Yeah. Well, some people, not the whole company, but yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But I would love to know
No, I
these
know.
these things. Like maybe Apple will. I should ask them. I'll
Yeah,
ask them if anyone from the production team wants to have an interview. Highly doubt they'll say yes, but worth a shot.
yeah, yeah. I know there are some bits and pieces online at the moment about some people not entirely happy about the Office return.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
It's a very mixed reaction. There's definitely segments within Apple who are happy with the return. And, I think you have to understand there are some jobs that you just really can't do remotely, like hardware engineering, hardware design. These are things that are very hands-on things, right? And Apple has
mhm.
had. I mean, it's not like Apple Park has been empty. No, they've had people coming in. They've allocated different times, so there's not too many people there at once. Of course, due to COVID, but
Yeah,
um, there's some jobs that you just can't do remotely, and there's other jobs that you can. And um, yeah, so eventually, I mean, they spent God knows how billions on Apple Park, so people better. If
yeah,
no one wants to work there, I'll work there. I mean, if no one likes their office, I'll take their office if they don't like it.
yeah. I think the problem is everyone, and me personally as well. Everyone got used to
Mm.
not being in the office. I used to work an office job, and it was just it's sort of your brain goes into like a different mode, I guess. You don't want to. I don't know.
Yeah,
So I'm quite grateful. I'm quite grateful I'm working now is home based. But
yeah, me too. Yeah, MacRumors is fully remote, so it's nice to be able to just. It does get a little bit boring sometimes. I do sometimes
mhm.
wish we had like an office, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely very nice for sure.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I sometimes go to like a
Mhm.
co-working place to sort of be well, occasionally go and do that. But I find at home I sort of lose productivity a little bit. So if I'm working on something, it's just I find I can bang out in a few hours
Mhm.
when I'm somewhere else. So
Yeah,
yeah,
requires some self discipline, for sure.
hmm yeah, definitely. Cool. I think that's probably it. To be
Ooh,
honest, yeah.
something fell. Not sure what that was. All right.
Okay. Cool. I think that's probably it. I'll wrap up. So cool. Um, thank you for
Of
joining me,
course.
Sammy. It's been really really good to
Thank
talk to
you
you.
for having me.
So yeah. If anyone wants to follow you, oh yeah, that's all right. If anyone wants to follow you on social media, where can they find you?
On Twitter, best place Sami SAMI FATHI or just type in Sami Fathi on Google, and it's the first, usually the first result that pops up.
Fair enough. Yeah, and also MacRumors as well. So I'll make sure I put all the links below this video for people to
Awesome,
find you.
thank you.
So yeah, yeah. Thank you for joining me on the Creator
Thank you
Spotlight.
for having me.